Hello, I'm Scott Stevens, Goldsboro City Manager for our November monthly update. Certainly different than where we started in October and things that I thought I'd be covering in November. And I think I'll start with addressing at least Hurricane Matthew in terms of our response and what went on and really where we are today. I will tell you, for those, most everybody in the area that was here, October 8th was a different day with the rain that fell. That Saturday, I think it was over 16 inches in a very short period of time, flash flooding throughout the community. Many of us that have been here for a long time hadn't seen that type of flooding in Goldsboro and Wayne County, maybe ever, but certainly in a very long time. And then the subsequent flooding of the Neuse River. So we had people that had their homes go underwater that Saturday, and then we had additional homes go underwater later in the week during that Sunday to Monday to Tuesday as the Neuse River continued to rise and close off parts of our community. I will tell you, at least being part of that and witnessing it, we had an excellent working relationship with all the entities within the county, from the nonprofits to the county government to the state government to our school system. I can't say enough good things about that, and again, I really credit the county and then Mel Powers for pulling all that together and keeping us all in the right place. But I really thought the community responded in terms of what we could do to the storm very, very well. Absolutely concerned about employee safety and community safety during the event. In terms of the city, we had very little damage to city buildings and facilities. We've had some significant damage to our utility system in terms of pumps and electrical components that got wet that we will have to be replacing. We had our water plants, some minor damage there, but our big concern during the storm and the flooding of the Neuse River was with the predictions of the river level, it could have shut down our water plant. So that was a significant concern, and we had a group of employees that spent a Sunday evening following the storm out there till midnight sandbagging critical areas, and the water plant then was never really in jeopardy after that. Our water reclamation facility, or our wastewater plant, really surrounded by water, but we had a crew of employees that spent most of a week there, cut off from the rest of us, at least via vehicles cut off from the rest of us, but they were on a dry island with plenty of food and electricity, and again making sure that wastewater treatment was occurring. And then we had a number of pump stations throughout our community that moved wastewater from low spots back into the system that ran most of the time but had issues from time to time as the storm passed through the community. So again, in terms of city damage, those were most outside of what you can see in terms of woody or vegetative debris that fell in our parks, along the streets and in people's yards. Since the event, we spent a lot more time doing damage assessment of homes. We had our inspection staff go out the Sunday following Hurricane Matthew and get into looking at properties that were impacted. And they've at this point have assessed 400 residential structures and about 100 commercial structures that had some type of flooding either under or in them. We've spent a lot of time talking about what the condemned notice is. We've called them a temporary condemnation notice. It does not mean that homes or businesses have to be torn down. What it meant is that water was under or in them, and we felt that they needed to make sure that they noticed that and took appropriate action to make sure the structures were safe, either electrically, mechanically, or from mold and mildew. And so we are working through residents. Of those, we came back, and once the power was restored to the electric system and these homes were condemned, we had discussions with Duke Energy about the safety of these homes in terms of the electrical safety. We did hire electrical contractors in the area to go out with us and over 2 days evaluate all the homes, not to really determine what was wrong, but to determine did the floodwaters impact a part of the electric system enough that we would feel that they are unsafe. And so we did that. Of all 400 residential structures that were out there as of that time, and many of them were determined to be electrically unsafe. In fact, we pulled power off of 310 homes following the restoration of power in Duke Energy from the storm. And again, most of those are due to electrical safety issues related to floodwaters that inundated some of the electrical components and primarily electrical wiring. Of those 310, 65 homes have had their power restored, so we are making progress. 7 of the 400 some homes are completely removed from a condemnation notice. So again, progress, although slow, is being made. Our permits department or inspections department has worked numerous hours since Hurricane Matthew, being open early, open late, trying to make sure we're talking with residents, talking with contractors, doing inspections as required. We normally issue about 200 permits a month. In the 3 weeks since Hurricane Matthew, we've issued over 850 permits, so our workload has increased dramatically. We are not charging a fee for the permits at this time, and anything storm related we are not charging a fee for, and we'll continue that for a while to come. But again, a lot of work to be done. Certainly we're seeing the human side of what this flooding means to people as we work with and talk with people who are struggling on how to make ends meet, where to live, how to provide for the family, where do they get furniture, where do they get clothes. And again, there are a lot of community resources out there, and I would ask any of you to reach out if you need assistance, whether it's through United Way, through the Red Cross, through the county's what was their Emergency Operations Center, or you can contact Shacole Carter Simpson with city staff, our community relations director. Her number is 919-580-4318. 919-580-4318 for Shacole Simpson Carter. Again, whether you need something or need to know where a resource is or would like to donate time and materials, or Shacole is really coordinate that on the city end and making sure that we're not duplicating efforts with the city staff. Also, FEMA's Disaster Response or Disaster Recovery Center is located in our W.A. Foster Recreation Center on John Street. They are taking one-on-one conversations with individuals and businesses. So again, there is assistance there. I know money is being dispersed through their small business assistance or small business loans. There is money for business, there's money for homeowners, there's also money for businesses in terms of a loan or low interest loans that would relate to the time that you are not able to make sales. So if you have a 2 or 3 week period or longer that you're not able to generate revenue and that's creating a hardship for you, the SBA will loan money to you for that. So again, you would need to talk to the folks at our Disaster Recovery Center there at W.A. Foster. And again, I can't say enough about the long hours that our employees have worked from police and fire and public works and others through the storm, to our inspection staff and our public works and utility staff and recreation staff since the storm, to the backroom people of IT and finance and HR, making sure bills are paid and employees are looked after and all that. I really am proud of our city staff and what they've done and the community response, still knowing there's a long way to go. There are a lot of people still suffering. I've told assistance from the outside has been overwhelming in terms of people coming. There have been a lot of partnerships, a lot of outside groups that will help remove materials from your home. I think there'll be groups that will help put it back. Contractors are working hard to get there as well. And again, there is a lot going on and a lot of positive activity, but probably 80% of us, our lives are back to normal, our daily routine is back intact. But the other 20% of our community, it will be months and months and months, maybe years, before they really return to, quote, normal. And their normal is going to be different, whatever that normal turns out to be. So I would just encourage you to make sure you look after one another, think about your neighbor, your coworker, and just check with them and make sure they're doing okay. Even after it appears that they've settled in months from now, we still have 50 to 60 people in our shelters. We're still looking for long-term housing where people won't be able to be in their houses for many months as the work is being done. So again, still a lot to go on out there. I'd also mention on vegetative removal or debris removal, from vegetative to street sweepings to construction debris or carpet or furniture. We've carried over 500 truckloads away from curbside. We'll continue to do that for many weeks or months to come. And again, trying to help us recover. We've spent well over $60-some thousand in debris removal. We've got several $100,000 and more coming in utility related expense, and then probably a significant number in terms of staff expense. And fortunately, financially, between FEMA and our state government, the city will come out as good or better in terms financially in regards to this storm. So although it's an effort to get through it for many, in the end, I think overall the community will be better for it. We've had a lot of questions about a buyout program. A buyout program existed after the floods in 1999. We do not have any guidance. When I say we, the city or the county at this time, that guidance is being developed from the state in terms of what that process or procedure or funding would look like. We expect to have more in the November-December timeframe, so it may be another month or two before we really know. But anybody interested in the buyout program where FEMA or the city would buy your home and let you buy another home out of the floodplain, we would encourage you to call the city planning department, the county planning department, or the Disaster Recovery Center at W.A. Foster, and at least get your name on a list. We're using the application that FEMA or the state used from 2011. And again, at this point, just trying to collect the information. There is no official buyout program, but we do believe there'll be funding for that and more to come on that in future years. But it is a long-term recovery. The initial response has been response and recovery to the storm. The buyout is a mitigation effort, and that comes later. So again, people still need a place to live, and you still need to have you look after your family for the coming months and years. And then in addition to that, we put a ton of information with FEMA on our website, trying to make sure that we are distributing information in a number of ways. And again, if you have questions or comments, Nicole Carter-Simpson is the best contact for the city. And again, her number 580-4318. Nicole Simpson Carter, 580-4318. But again, patience, we've said that an awful lot. We've had community meetings. We'll have more community meetings. We've talked an awful lot about patience because in this time of needing a contractor, everybody else needs them too. And I do know that they're out working and trying to get things done as quickly and as safely as possible. So it will get better for those still without housing or not knowing where they're going to end up. It just takes a lot of time and effort to get you there. A couple other things I would mention, staff change wise, we have recognized our Public Utility Director, Karen Brashear, who recently retired at the end of October. Karen had a lot of years with the City of Goldsboro and a number of other years with other towns. She will be very, very much missed in terms of what she provided, and again, almost worry-free to me on water and sewer and our compost facility areas, but I wish Karen well. She earned her time, and again, I wish her a long and happy retirement. And then Jose Martinez, our Public Works Director, who had joined us about 3.5 years ago, is moving to Apex and will become Apex Public Works Director, and his last day was November 1st. So what I'll be advertising for is a Public Works Director that will oversee both departments, and then we had recently created 2 assistant department head level positions in Public Works, one in Public Works and one in Public Utilities. So structurally, I think we'll be set up well for the future, but that will probably be 6 months, 5 to 6 months in terms of advertising, and have 2 or 3 months of that, interviewing and hiring somebody. So it's probably the spring of 2017, late winter 2017, before we have a permanent director in place. And again, I have high confidence in our staff to carry out their daily duties and continue to provide the services to the community of providing water, treating wastewater, and the other functions within Public Works in terms of garbage collection, fleet maintenance, street maintenance, water and sewer lines. So anyhow, if you need us, call us, but just an update on staff changes that you will see some new faces in terms of interim. We've got Rick Fletcher in Public Works as our interim Public Works Director, and Michael Wagner, who joined us several months ago as an interim Public Utilities Director. So more to come on that as we go through. I know it's election season. This will run a little bit after, but I wanted to at least share bond referendum information. Again, our goal is only to educate. We're not promoting you to vote for or against. It's just trying to make sure you understand what the vote is. And so on the ballot this year, we had mailed something to each utility customer that had a flyer that looked similar to the one that I'm holding or the one that we're showing. And this flyer talked about a $7 million infrastructure bond referendum. And again, we're talking about our paved streets. It's really street resurfacing and some dirt street construction. We had provided a list of streets of about $2.8 million that the first phase of the bond would do, meaning in the spring of 2017 if the bond was passed. The balance of that money, the $7 million infrastructure bond, some would go to street construction, dirt street construction, but the other balance for resurfacing, we would go through and rate, which we are doing now. All of our paved streets in the community do what we call a pavement condition rating, where they rank against each other, 1 being very bad, 100 being very good, and trying to have some logic. We have done that in the past in terms of ranking our streets, but our old pavement condition rating survey is more than 10 years old. That data does get dated over time, and so we are doing a new pavement condition survey, and that's the data we will use in making recommendations to the City Council on previous resurfacing needs. If the bond passes, it will be for bond funds. If the bond doesn't pass, it'll be our annual allocation that's been in the tune of about $500,000. But the bond would provide more funding to do more streets sooner, and then we would spread that debt associated with the bond out over a 20-year time frame. In terms of the Parks and Recreation bond referendum, again, it is a separate question on the bond, so you can vote yes for one and no for the other, or vice versa. It is a $3 million Parks and Recreation bond. It is primarily geared towards, or is geared towards, our multi-sports complex that we have been working with in partnership with Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. We currently have a $3 million loan from Wayne County. We have about $1.5 million of cash on hand in our travel and tourism fund. This additional $3 million would allow this project to be open day one, really as it should be built, as opposed to opening it and then adding to it as we go forward in time. So if the bond passes, it'll be more of a complete project. Consists of a mix of fields that are for field sports, anything from lacrosse to football to to soccer, to ultimate frisbee, to whatever field sports you could envision in the future. And again, we've talked some about soccer. We certainly see a demand for soccer and soccer tournaments in the areas, but it would be used for any type of field sport where you need a rectangular area and grass. Neither one of these bond referendums will require a tax increase, and that is because we have debt paying off. So as this bond payments would come on, we have debt that pays off. Therefore, we wouldn't be proposing additional revenue to pay a debt service. It would basically maintain a debt service at an existing level or a level that drops over time. So if you have any more questions on that, please don't hesitate to call the manager's office, 919-580-4330. Again, the manager's office, 919-580-4330. Or there's information on the website, or dig out that brochure that we mailed to you in your utility bill through the month of October. We've talked some about rain and what the impact of that. We've all seen that, I guess, with Matthew and the aftermath of that. Prior to that, we were talking about a stormwater stakeholder group and trying to develop a utility, or the concept of a stormwater utility, where residents would pay somewhere in the $3 to $5 a month range that would generate money that is strictly going towards stormwater system improvements. We have been looking for a stakeholder group. We have gotten a few community members involved in that. We really were hoping to have more business community members, some church community members, and again, we will be reaching back out to those groups. But if you have an interest, please don't hesitate to contact my office. You can go on Public Works website, through the City of Goldsboro's website, and find where we have the application form. But we want to make sure we have people that are involved and interested, and the ultimate, it will be working to make a recommendation to our City Council in the spring, such that it could be part of the budgeting process for 2017, 2018, and ultimately making our stormwater system better. And I don't want to ever say we will prevent flooding, but we certainly can reduce flooding by increasing the ability of our drainage system to convey water to the Neuse River or Little River or wherever it is headed. In trying to move things back to normal, we've had a lot of things that canceled or rescheduled or moved throughout the month of October. One of those was our public art installation. It was scheduled originally for October 14th. We were much more into recovery at that moment than installing new art, so we did push that ceremony back to October 21st. I want to thank the artists for working with us, both those taking out their pieces and those that are bringing their pieces. And we did install 4 new pieces of public art in downtown, and I'm sure there are folks that like it and there are folks that don't. But I would encourage, if you haven't come down and take a look, to please come take a look. It is meant to generate a difference in our downtown and people excitement and folks talking about Goldsboro on a continuing basis. So again, I think it's been successful in that, and I do want to thank all those involved, from the public art steering committee to our artists to the community, for their time and effort in that. A number of events coming up in the future. We did have a USTA tennis tournament scheduled for October. That has been moved to early December, so more coming on that, but that'll be back in early December. November 19th, we have the 4th annual Beaver Moon Bike Run at Stony Creek Park, or just maybe across the street behind what was outdoor sports. But again, more information on the Beaver Moon Bike Run, 739-7480. 739-7480 is our Parks and Recreation. And then November 22nd, downtown lights up from 5 to 8 p.m. In the past years, we've had snowfall and other things. I assume this year we'll have something similar, but it's always been a great event where we turn the Christmas lights on for the first time in downtown for the season. Free trailer rides beginning that Tuesday, and every Tuesday continuing on until December 20th. So again, if you haven't been downtown in a year, we'd encourage you to come be part of that. And I will tell you, it's an extremely busy time for the Paramount Theater this time of year with a lot of events. I know we've got movies going on through December, we've got plays, the symphony, and other activities throughout November and December, and I would encourage you to stop by the Paramount or check out their website in terms of knowing what schedules are coming. But there is something for you if you're looking for something to do here in Goldsboro. There is something for you at the Paramount Theater over November and December. So I would encourage you to reach out and look for those activities and spend your time and money here in our community doing the things that you enjoy elsewhere as well. So with that, I think I'll close for this month. Again, remember those in need. There's a lot of folks still out there. It will be a tough season, holidays and other. Thanksgiving come up. I wish all of you a happy Thanksgiving, but remember those in our community that are in need. And as always, if we can help with anything, we're here to help. Please don't hesitate to call, email, or stop by City Hall to talk with us and see what we can do to help you with whatever issue you're having. So with that, again, it's Scott Stevens, 580-4330. We're happy to talk with you at any time. Thank you.